Ladies and gentlemen, hello from New York City, and welcome back to WCS America. You're watching the Challenger League. I'm axeltoss, joined by axslav. How you doing today, man?
Doing excellent. Yes. Excellent, of course. Today
it's great to hear, by the way.
It is. I like to be doing excellent.
Good. I like when you're doing excellent, too. Now, what are we doing today, Nick?
So today is the last day of the first round of the WCS America Challenger League bracket stage.
Yes.
So, of course, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, we were playing out this first round of the bracket. We have 12 players in the first 3 days this week who have advanced to the second round of the bracket. These players are Top, Phoenix, Ian, Major, Vibe, State, Theognis, Ghosties, Your Puck, Illusion, Tasia, and the Muslim.
We have 4 more to go. Of course, all of these players defeated other players who are in the group stage of the Challenger League. So basically, if you're trying to figure out what the Challenger League is, how it works, all you really need to know is that these guys want to win. Because as they win, they get closer to advancing into the Premier League, where all the all the money is, right? Where all the glory is. So these guys doing a great job in their first round wins. And if you missed any of these matches, check them out, youtube.com/officialmlgsc2. But 12 names there. We're looking for 4 more. We have 4 matches today on this wonderful Thursday evening of WCS America Challenger League. We got Oz versus Jim, Kapach versus Telia, Hello Kitty versus XY, and Huck versus Neeb. So much diversity on that page, Mr. Nick.
A lot of different players from different regions of the globe in particular. You know, one thing is there's not too many Zergs today. But don't worry.
You're right, there's not too many.
You Zerg lovers out there.
In fact, there's actually no Zergs today, Mr. Nick.
You're right.
Yes.
But for the Zerg lovers out there, next week there's a lot of Zergs. I think there's 8 of 16 in the top 16 of the Premier League are Zergs. So Zerg's very heavy in the Premier League. Next week, the round of 16 kicks off on Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So Zerg lovers, don't worry, there'll be some more Zerg action coming to you. Today, though, a lot of Protosses, a lot of Terrans, players from all over the globe here. The first match, Oz versus Jim.
Oh, yes, indeed. Of course, we are live right now. The players are in the lobby waiting for me to say go, but we got to discuss the players first. We got to give some backstory. Of course, Oz versus Jim. Some of you might be able to recognize one of them, and it's probably this guy. It's Oz. No introduction needed, really. He was on FXO, eventually made his way to Evil Geniuses, where he is right now. He's been playing in Korea, a part of EGTL in the very prestigious Pro League. He's been a great job there. One of the best Protoss players. Honestly, in STARCRAFT 2, had a great run in Wings of Liberty, doing great things in Heart of the Swarm as well. And he got here, however, after getting 4th in his group stage, involving Violet, Scarlet, and State. So a little bit of a surprising result in the round of 32 of the Premier League.
That's right. Not having the most success lately, and very importantly, he's up against Jim, who's a Protoss player. And I think it was about a year ago, Oz said it was a time when everyone was saying PvP is a luck matchup. It's kind of, some players were complaining about it. And Oz said, no, PvP is pure skill. If you don't think it is, come play me, and I will beat you. And then he proceeded to lose.
Did he deliver? Did OP deliver?
No, Oz didn't quite do it. He went, I think, 0-12 in his next.
What? So
though it is kind of true, right? Like if it was total luck, he would do better than 0-12. Right?
That's true. Oh god. Well played. Well played.
It's kind of right there. But the point is, over the last year, his PvP has been definitely his source of weakness. I think everyone agrees on that. Insanely talented PvZ player. PvP is his weakness, and Jim is a guy. If you guys don't know him,
what a name, by the way, Jim. It's like if you had to guess where this guy comes from, and his handle is Jim, what would you guess?
Arkansas.
Right, or like Kansas.
Yeah.
Or something. No, he's from China. His name is actually Jin. J-I-N is his first name. I looked it up. His last name is pretty complicated, but he's from China, and this is a guy who recently was #1 on the Korean Grandmaster ladder. Am I right when I say that, Nick?
You are, sir. You also all killed Team EG over there in a team match. They played a while back. A lot of successes from.
And he came from the qualifier, so he and you covered some of those matches in that last qualifier. Do you have anything that sticks out in your mind about his play?
He just seemed very good at everything. I didn't notice any super stylistic. Of course, I haven't seen quite enough of his games yet to put a style on him. He also knocked out, a lot of people were cheering on Khan. In the Challenger League qualifiers, Jim knocked out Khan. to knock him out of those qualifiers. So a very, very talented player. A lot of people say maybe the best in China right now.
Right.
Definitely the most successful on the Korea ladder of almost anybody. So extremely, extremely tough opponent. But we're going to start the first game between Oz and Jim. The map is going to be Akalon Waste.
Super excited for this one. I'm looking for some PvP builds. And as you said, first game of this best of 3 on Akalon Wastes. And again, the winner of this best of 3 will advance to the next round of the bracket stage of the Challenger League of WCS America. Here we are in game number 1. In the bottom right-hand location, we have the blue Protoss player hailing from China. He's 17 years old, representing Team Invictus Gaming. He is Jim. And his opponent in the top left-hand location, the red Protoss player from Team Evil Geniuses. He is Oz. So who would you consider the favorite in this best of 3, Nick?
I'd have to go with Jim. Honestly, I know a lot of people are saying Oz with Team EG. He plays in the Pro League. He's been winning or placing highly in several tournaments over the last year and a half or so. And Jim doesn't, on paper, honestly, doesn't really have tournament results.
I'm sorry, did you say Jim or Oz? I was spaced
Jim.
out a little bit. You said Jim?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Their names are a little bit similar. There's only one syllable. So like you said it in like half a second past, and that was half a second where I was worrying about something else.
So good, of course. So I was saying on paper, Oz would definitely be the favorite.
Sure.
He has tournament results. Jim doesn't really have big league tournament results, but he hasn't really played in very many as well. Very young kid, but just his. The ladder doesn't really mean much, but being number 1 on Korea GM is an incredible accomplishment. He all killed Team EG as well.
So can you explain?
And PvP Oz has been kind of slacking lately.
Can you provide a little bit of context behind that? What do you mean he all killed? Was this in what team league was this in?
I looked it up yesterday.
Was it the,
I think it was IPTL with Invictus Gaming. It was one of those. It wasn't super recent. It was a few months back. But the point is that he's over the last few months he's been doing very well in not necessarily the biggest stages. He hasn't been taking down these giant tournaments like WCS last year. He hasn't been competing in the GSL or the MLG events, NSL events, IPL. He hasn't been competing in like the big LAN events. But online, he showed insane skill. And I think that's going to be very, very tough tough opponent for us.
So what do you make of Oz's 4th place performance in his Premier League group? Was this just because if we're talking about PvP, he lost to State, of course, a North American player, and a lot of people are like, well, State is pretty good. Well, yeah, he is, but if you're talking about a North American versus a Korean, not a lot of people are going to predict State over Oz.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Is this just because of the matchup, or is it like PvP? It's
Oz has honestly, he's almost never won a PvP, so it could very well be.
So is that a bad omen for this match?
I think it may be, but of course every match is different, and a player who historically doesn't do well in PvPs was going to focus on him extensively. It looks like Oz actually saving a lot of Chrono Boost. He's going to be doing a very aggressive build. We can see there 82 energy on that Nexus. That means he's saving it all to Chrono Boost out on the Twilight Council.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost for sure going to be a very aggressive Blink play. His probe count is obviously suffering, especially in the early game, the way he built it up. Right now, he's kind of caught up, at least in the first couple minutes of the game. He has fallen a little bit behind in that count, but it's because he's been saving that Chrono to do this massive Blink rush. His opponent, though, is going to put on aggression even earlier with just pure gateway
units. He needs a pylon down with his probe. Oh my god, he did not get a pylon down, and that's so important because he's going to have 3 gateways behind this. Warp gate is going to finish, but he's not going to be able to warp in defensive units. So this pretty much forces Jim to have a backup plan, and we see Oz go for a Dark Shrine. Yeah,
playing mind games a little bit, maybe hoping to... Interesting, it's rare that someone saves 100 energy on a Nexus and then goes for the Dark Shrine. Now Chrono Boosting Warp Gate.
Oh, 3 Stalkers and a Mother Shakur versus 3 Stalkers and a Mother Shakur. Who's it going to favor? Looks like a Time Warp going down here from Oz, but not from Jim. Will that come back to haunt Oz? Because now he's not going to have enough energy for potential Photon Overcharge. And I say this because he doesn't have a Sentry blocking the entry into his main base, and Jim is making a forward pylon. He has 3 gates behind this, so he does have the ability to be aggressive. But no, Jim is just going to recall out of there. But 1 Stalker missing the memo saying, all right, I'm out.
I feel like this is going to favor Oz. You know, I'm almost positive he was planning on doing a Blink Stalker push. Then when he saw his opponent with all those Stalkers already on...
He still has 100 energy on that Nexus, man.
Yeah, he's not sure exactly where to use it, but I think he was originally planning to go Blink.
Okay.
And then when he noticed his opponent going very Stalker heavy,
right.
He says, well, if he's going Stalker heavy, he's either going Gateway Aggression or he's going his own Blink.
Which means he might not have that tech for detection.
Exactly. Now the DTs are coming into play, and Jim has got 3 gateways, 1 Twilight Council, 0 units that can detect DTs. I think we're about to see...
This might just be one of those games where it ends. I mean, he hasn't even thrown down any detection yet.
I mean, I think he's just going to leave right now. Maybe...
Well, the probes are definitely going to leave. And there's the GG. Okay. Okay. These games happen. Wow, I'm trying to like think everything that happened through my mind there.
Well, you know what's interesting is, so the idea of Jim's build is that he puts on gateway pressure, and he can damage his opponent, or at the very least, figure out his opponent's build, because he'll see what units his opponent has. But all he saw was several Stalkers and a Mothership Core. And so I think he got to read his opponent was most likely going Blink. He's like, okay, I'll go Blink versus Blink. I'm extremely talented, and I'm just going to do it. But it wasn't Blink, it was DTs, which is not common to open DTs while being aggressive with Stalkers on the map. Normally you go Zelt Sentry or something like that, or it's you get at least one Sentry so you can buy time.
So, you know, obviously something Jim saw there led him to think, okay, I don't necessarily need detection, because if you're doing a build in PvP where it doesn't involve a Robo, it doesn't involve a Stargate, of course, or it doesn't involve a Forge, your 3 key, paths towards detection, and the Observer, the Oracle, and the Cannon, respectively. If you're not doing that, it's very risky if you don't know exactly what your opponent is doing. Jim, that's exactly what happened. He didn't build any of those buildings, and the DT showed up, and he had nothing to deal with it. So he took a risk, and it did not pay off for him. So Oz taking game number 1 with some nifty DT play, but this is a best of 3, guys, so stay tuned. Jim versus Oz, game 2, coming up.